The movie begins with Marlin, a clownfish, and his wife Coral settling into their new sea anemone home. Inside, Coral lays eggs, and they excitedly await the arrival of their offspring. However, as they anticipate the hatching of their numerous eggs, the family faces a sudden attack by a hungry barracuda. In an attempt to protect his family and the eggs, Marlin rushes forward but is knocked unconscious in the process. Upon awakening, Marlin discovers that Coral and the eggs have been eaten by the fish. He is left in profound sadness. However, amidst the sorrow, Marlin notices one egg that miraculously survived the attack. Determined to protect his only remaining child, he names the unborn offspring Nemo. 6 years later, Nemo has grown up and is leading a happy life with his father. The day arrives for Nemo to go to his first day at school. But Marlin, his overprotective father, hesitates to let his only son go. Despite his initial reluctance, Marlin eventually decides to send Nemo to school. Excited about starting his first day, Nemo joins his friends of the same age on the way to school. Upon their arrival, the teacher begins to instruct them. However, Nemo's friends sneak out of class, and he joins them as they head toward open water. Spotting a floating boat, the kids decide to investigate. Before Nemo gets too far, his father sees him and rushes to stop him. An argument ensues over Marlin's overprotectiveness, and Nemo, fueled by anger, defiantly swims toward a speedboat to prove that the open water is not dangerous. Unfortunately, he is captured by scuba divers. Marlin desperately rushes to save him. However, another diver takes a picture, disorienting him. The diver places Nemo in a cooler full of water and accidentally drops his mask into the ocean. After regaining his sight, Marlin swims after the boat, but eventually loses the trail. He descends to the seafloor, desperately begging passing fish for help, but no one is willing to assist him. In his moment of despair, he bumps into a regal tang named Dory. Marlin asks her if she has seen a boat, and she informs him that the boat passed a few minutes ago. Grateful for the information, Marlin follows Dory in the direction it went. As they swim along, Dory tries to evade Marlin when she notices him behind her. Confused and frustrated, Marlin confronts her, and she apologizes, revealing that she suffers from short-term memory loss. Dumbfounded, Marlin contemplates leaving to find a way to rescue his son. However, in his shock, he comes face to face with a great white shark. To his surprise, the shark assures them that he means no harm, and introduces himself as Bruce. He invites Marlin and Dory to a get-together he's hosting. Despite Marlin's initial reluctance, they have no choice but to go with the shark. Bruce takes them to an old sunken submarine surrounded by live sea mines. There, they meet Bruce's fellow sharks, and the sharks pledge to abstain from eating fish. As everyone starts sharing their life stories, Marlin turns, and he begins telling them his story. During the assembly, Marlin spots the diver's mask stuck on a shard of metal. Intrigued, he inspects it and discovers writing on the strap that might provide a clue to Nemo's whereabouts. In an attempt to show the markings to the sharks, Dory picks up the mask, but Marlin tries to take it back. Accidentally, the mask snaps onto Dory's face, causing a nosebleed. The smell of blood triggers Bruce's inner carnivore instincts, and he lunges to eat Dory. The other sharks attempt to stage an intervention by holding him back, but he mindlessly chases Marlin and Dory through the submarine. During this chaotic pursuit, Dory unexpectedly reveals her ability to read human words. Seeking safety, she and Marlin take refuge in a torpedo well. On her feet, Dory releases the torpedo, causing it to wedge in Bruce's mouth. This diversion gives Marlin enough time to grab the mask and flee back into the well. Frustrated, Bruce tosses the torpedo away. However, the discarded torpedo triggers one of the mines, initiating a violent chain reaction of explosions throughout the entire minefield. Meanwhile, Nemo finds himself placed into a new container, revealed to be a fish tank in a dentist's office. Initially feeling frightened and alone, he encounters a few of the tank's original inhabitants. The fish in the tank are astonished to learn that Nemo comes from the vast ocean. Then, a pelican named Nigel arrives at the window. He is a friend of the fish in the tank. There, he greets Nemo, spending time telling him his story. But Nigel is shooed away by the dentist, who mistakenly believes the pelican is there to eat the fish. Nemo sees a picture of a girl holding a dead fish. The other fish inform him that her name is Darla, and they refer to her as a fish killer, recalling a traumatic experience with her in the past. They warn Nemo that she will come soon and take him as a present. Fearful and wanting to go home, Nemo backs away and accidentally gets stuck in the suction tube of the filter. The other fish rush to help Nemo, But Gil, a wise Moorish idol with large scars, intervenes. He advises Nemo that he must find a way to escape on his own. Following Gil's guidance, Nemo successfully frees himself from the suction tube. In the ocean, Marlin and Dory wake up in the aftermath of the explosions to find the submarine hanging precariously over the edge of a deep ravine. There, Dory accidentally drops the mask into the darkness below. Marlin loses hope, but Dory cheerfully encourages him to delve into the depths of the ocean. In their journey, they come upon a mysterious and alluring light. Initially confused by its source, it turns out to be a hungry anglerfish lurking in the darkness. The fish launches an attack on them. In the midst of the chase, Marlin spots the mask stuck in the rocks. He decides to distract the anglerfish long enough for Dory to read the address written on it. Successfully, Dory gathers the information, and they manage to escape safely. Continuing their journey, the characters seek directions to Sydney from a school of moonfish. The moonfish advise them to follow the East Australian current, and armed with this information, they arrive at a rocky trench. While there, Dory notices a tiny jellyfish, becoming distracted by it. As she tries to touch the jellyfish, she is stung. Marlin rushes to warn her of the danger. Unexpectedly, they find themselves surrounded by larger jellyfish. In a swift motion, they swim upward to escape the encircling jellyfish. Although Marlin successfully navigates out, but Dory doesn't follow. Concerned for her safety, he goes back into the swarm to retrieve her. He finds her unconscious and marked by the stings. Struggling to carry her out, he is repeatedly stung. Eventually, he makes it out, but stung and exhausted, he blacks out as a large shadow descends upon him. In the fish tank, Nemo is awakened by Jacques, who invites him to a ceremony to induct Nemo into their club. After the ceremony, Gil proposes a plan to escape the fish tank. The plan involves utilizing Nemo's small size to fit into the filter mesh, and jamming the gear, causing the tank to become dirty. This would necessitate manual cleaning by the dentist, leading to the fish being temporarily placed in baggies on the counter. This situation would provide an opportunity for them to roll out the window and make their way to the ocean. Despite the associated risks, Nemo agrees to carry out this daring plan. In the morning, Nemo waits in the fish tank with Gil, who keeps a watchful eye on the dentist. When the dentist goes to the bathroom, prompting Nemo to take action, Gil tosses him a pebble and provides instructions. As Nemo wedges the fan, successfully stopping the flow of water, he moves through the pipe back into the tank. However, the pebble unhinges, and the fan turns on again, pulling Nemo backward. The other fish act quickly, sending Nemo a toy kelp strand to grab onto and pull him out. Shaken by the close call and realizing the grave danger his plan put Nemo in, Gil becomes sullen, and acknowledges that they are done with that particular escape plan. Meanwhile, Marlin wakes up to find himself resting on the shell of a laid-back sea turtle named Crush, who has a surfer's attitude. To his amazement, he discovers that he's riding along the East Australian current with dozens of other sea turtles and large fish. Marlin is reunited with Dory. There, the turtle asks Marlin to tell them the rest of the story. Hesitant at first, Marlin relents, and he begins telling of his entire history, how he lost his wife and unborn children, his only son Nemo's abduction by humans, and his journey to find him. His story becomes famous, and the turtle tells his story to other fishes. The tale spreads across the ocean from turtle to fish to dolphin to bird, until it reaches Nigel the pelican. Upon hearing the story of Nemo, Nigel flies off to the dentist's office. Upon arrival, he recounts to Nemo the story of his father's heroic journey, which included encounters with 3 sharks and a school of jellyfish, traversing vast expanses of the ocean to find him. As Nemo listens to the story, he is newly impressed with his father. Inspired, Nemo decides to attempt the filter escape again, and, this time, succeeds. A couple of days pass, and the tank's surfaces turn green with algae, due to the lack of a filter. The dentist notices this and orders a new filter. The fish eagerly await the plan's execution. But the following morning, they wake up with the horrified realization that the tank is suddenly clean. The fish discover that the dentist installed a new high-tech filter the night before. While impressed with the device's functionality, they worry about what will happen when Darla arrives. When the dentist arrives, he pulls Nemo out from the tank and away from his grip. He places Nemo in a plastic bag on the counter. The other fish advise Nemo to roll out the window, but before he can get far, the dentist places the baggie in a tin to keep him from moving. Gil tries to reassure Nemo that he'll be okay, but at that moment, Darla crashes into the office. Marlin and Dory arrived, exhausted from a night of searching the harbor for boats. They were scooped up in the beak of a pelican that landed on a nearby dock and swallowed them. However, Marlin, determined not to become breakfast after coming so far, lodged himself and Dory in the pelican's neck, causing it to start choking. Nigel woke from a nap and noticed his friend choking. Flying down to assist him, Nigel hit him in the back, expelling Marlin and Dory onto the dock. There, Marlin shouted that he needed to find Nemo. Recognizing the name, Nigel turned to Jerry excitedly, informing him that this is the fish they've been hearing about. Nigel revealed that he knows Marlin's son, but they all froze when surrounded by hungry seagulls. Nemo, Marlin flipped in excitement, causing the seagulls to rush forward. However, Nigel managed to take Dory and Marlin in his mouth and fly off. Back in the dentist's office, as the dentist picks up the baggie with Nemo inside, he notices Nemo floating upside down. The other fish quickly realize that Nemo is faking his death to be flushed down the toilet. However, instead of heading to the toilet, the dentist opts to go to the trash can. In this critical moment, Nigel arrives at the window, where Marlin witnesses his son Nemo lifeless inside the plastic baggie, his heart broken and overwhelmed with profound sadness. The dentist seizes Nigel and compels him out the window. Upon hearing his father's voice, Nemo springs back to life. However, Darla, upon seeing the fish alive, snatches the bag and vigorously shakes it. Propelled by the force of the bubbles, Gil is launched out of the tank and lands squarely on Darla's head. In a moment of shock, she accidentally drops Nemo's bag onto a table cluttered with tools, causing the plastic to break. Simultaneously, Gil also tumbles onto the table, demonstrating a swift reaction to save Nemo by flipping him into the sink that all drains lead to the ocean. The dentist hastily returns him to the tank to ensure he can breathe. Nemo resumes his journey, navigating through the piping until he eventually arrives at a water treatment filtration system that guides him back to the open ocean. Nigel returned Marlin and Dory to the ocean, gently releasing them into the water. Overwhelmed with grief, Marlin, his heart shattered, expressed gratitude to Dory for her assistance and started to swim away. Nemo initiated the search for his father, but despite his efforts, he couldn't locate him. Along the way, he encountered Dory swimming in a state of confusion beneath a buoy, expressing that she had lost someone, but can't remember who. Sympathetic, Nemo offers to search with her, and Dory happily agrees, though she doesn't recognize him. As they swim together, Dory comes across a piece of piping with the word Sydney on it. Suddenly, all her memories flood back, and she rushes at Nemo, hugging him tightly before leading him in the direction Marlin went. They find Marlin headed towards fishing grounds, and as Marlin hears his son's voice, he turns around, overjoyed to see Nemo and happy for finding him. But in this joyous moment, the school of fish panics as a large net from a fishing boat above envelops them. Dory gets caught up in the netting, desperate to help her. Nemo intervenes, but his father doesn't want him to go. Despite Marlin's fears, he lets go and allows Nemo to take action. Nemo enters the net and confidently instructs the fish to swim down. Marlin guides the panicked fish from outside the net, and they all swim synchronously downward, pulling the net with them, until it finally snaps away from the boat, freeing all the fish. They save the day. Marlin and Nemo come to an understanding, and all three return to their home. Marlin's demeanor has changed for the better, and he is more upbeat and confident in his son's abilities. The family is restored to happiness,